Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard. This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Kyle and Justin discuss parasite control in cattle.
This is Kyle Bauer. I have the opportunity to visit with Justin Talley. He's with Oklahoma State in entomology, and we're talking about cattle production and insects for the most part. What sort of advice would you like the producers to think about year after year when it comes to parasite and fly control?
So fly control is going to be a continual issue. It's every year we seem to see this issue becoming larger and larger. Some of this is due to resistance, and some of it is due to our weather patterns. And when we have warm summers and warm winters, that usually leads to larger parasite burdens. And whether it's a tick or a fly, that means our seasons are longer. Instead of our season starting in June, it's going to start maybe in April. And in the case for us further south, it started for us in March, where we had to start treating cattle in March this year.
You know, I was surprised. I'm in north central Kansas. We had a tick issue in one pasture this year. Never had it before.
Yeah, ear ticks especially were very problematic for Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. That particular tick is called the Gulf Coast tick, and why it's becoming a problem is basically you have some weather patterns that are conducive to it, and then you have available hosts. And sometimes those hosts could mean small ground-dwelling rodents or ground-dwelling birds, such as quail or any bird that's associated with forming a burrow. That tick is associated with that, and then eventually it gets into cattle's ears, and it becomes a major problem, especially during calving season, because they can get on calves' ears and emaciate those ears and cause really, some secondary health issues to a certain extent where they're not performing as well as we would like for them to.
Well, parasite control is a lot of work. It amounts to a lot of money sometimes, but if you don't do it, it can cost a lot of money.
Yeah, so studies have shown repeatedly that especially if you don't have a deworming program, that your costs can go up substantially. And for fly control, it can go up substantially if you don't keep them, below a certain level. Ideal level for horn flies, which is the number one external parasite of cattle operations across the U.S., is around 200 flies per animal. We reached that in Oklahoma in some areas 1st of April, and in certain areas of Kansas, they were reaching that in early June.
Yeah, 200 is not very many, and certainly the cattle, once they're treated, they just look like they have a relaxed attitude right after it.
Yeah, so any kind of treatment provides some relief. So if you want to think of, like in the case of a horn fly, that horn fly is essentially taking 10 microliters of blood per feeding. And from that, they're going to feed maybe up to 24 times a day. And say you have a moderate population that's just over that threshold, say like 270. So that's almost 65 cc's of blood that they're losing on a per day basis if you don't do anything. So when you apply a treatment, it is a certain relief to those animals.
Yeah, besides the biting of it, I mean, it's truly energy that is coming away from them. We're visiting with Justin Talley. Justin is in the entomology area of Oklahoma State University. It's Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Come back after the break and learn how the National Beef Quality Audit is helping evolve the industry.
Brought to you in part by the 65th Annual Eskridge Labor Day Rodeo, September 2nd and 3rd. If you love rodeo, mark your calendar right now for the 65th Annual Labor Day Rodeo in Eskridge, September 2nd and 3rd at 7 p.m. This is entertainment for your whole family. Calf roping, steer mugging, barrel racing, and more. Now let's rodeo.